Hello. I'm just gonna wait for people to join. Today we're going live with Gurpreet Paaji, and we're going to be talking about Jaggi Johal. Jaggi Johal is a Scottish Sikh who has been detained by the Indian government arbitrarily and intensely tortured for a very long time. Okay, 278. Let me send Gurpreet Paaji the invite. Okay, invite to join. Okay, send request. Hi, Gagan. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਭਾਜੀ
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ to everybody that's on
ਹਾਂਜੀ I just turned off the comments ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ comments ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੋਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ so
that's fine but I think it's best to leave the comments on, let people ask what they want. I'm
okay.
not shy from those things, so it's up to you. I've got no issues.
Okay.
So
they're up. Guys, also the question box is also open. If there's a particular question that you really want answered, do send it into the question box. So just so everybody knows, Gurpreet Paaji is Jaggi Paaji's older brother, and he's going to be telling us from the beginning till now what's been going on, how it happened. And the purpose of this live is to raise awareness. I firmly believe that we as a community have to stand united when one of our own is in a situation where he's overpowered. And I think in this case, when you're battling a foreign government and as a minority community, we have to collectively raise our voices. So, Paaji, over to you. So, please go ahead.
yeah, first of all, thank you, Benji, for giving us this opportunity. I still look back at the comments you did last time you spoke about Jaggi, and always have a joke about it because you've been quite vocal on a lot of subjects, not just Jaggi, but the Kisan issue, etc. So it's good to have this platform to talk about Jaggi.
Thank you.
As many of you that would know, Jaggi went to get married in India. He got married. After his marriage, he was supposed to come back to UK, but he decided to stay with his wife and spend time with her after the wedding. He's out shopping and the car was pulled aside and he was bagged, hooded and taken away whilst his wife was left crying in the middle of the road in Jalandhar. Jaggi's wife phoned me. I was sitting in this very room, sleeping in this very room at the time, and she was in stitches of what's going on. So our world shook at that point, because as many people know, when you go to India, you think, we went on a holiday, come back, people think you've got money just after a wedding. We just thought he had been abducted for ransom more than anything else. So straight away, we start phoning the UK government in London to see what can be done. And that whole night was a nightmare. All I can still remember is Jaggi's wife saying, Paaji, please ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਜਾਓ ਇੱਥੇ, ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਆ ਆ ਜਾਓ ਇੱਥੇ. So me and my younger brother just got a flight and travelled the next day to India. We didn't even think at the time. 12 o'clock at midnight, we went to Delhi British High Commission, thinking that the British High Commission was open for everyone at any time, but it was closed. So we then went to Chandigarh, went to the Deputy High Commission's office there, and they said we can't do anything, they'll try. So we had a fight, more or less an argument with them to see what they can do. I met vakils, different lawyers at the time, and one of the lawyers said go back to UK because you can't do anything. But we didn't really have a choice because we didn't know where he was. We were sitting at home after trying to find out where he was, and you see Chief Minister of Punjab saying that Jaggi has been found guilty of, or they've got evidence of him against 7 different murders. Straight away, the family in the UK have started to panic, saying, come back, come back. I had no choice other than to come back, because the family here wanted to go to India, and they were like, if you don't come back, then you may end up being arrested as well. So we handed his passport to the British High Commission and came back to the UK. On that weekend, we started the Free Jaggi Now campaign. So what I do want to start off with that is, Jaggi's campaign is international. It's nothing to do with me. It's one Maharaj's Kirpa, but otherwise it's been the Sangat support. Jaggi's picture was everywhere, not just UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, USA. So it was you guys that kept Jaggi alive. So when we talk about social media, I would generally say that Jaggi is alive because of you guys. But Maharaj's Kirpa, otherwise Jaggi would have been just a statistic. He would have been encountered, like we've heard about the 1984, what was happening with our youth at the time. And I genuinely believe if we hadn't been vocal at the time, Jaggi may not be here and we may not be talking about him. Yes, he's sitting in a prison. He's been there for the last 1,275 days. But at least we know he's alive. We know where he is. He's in a jail. Okay, it's COVID ridden, but at least we can still talk about him. We can still raise awareness about Jaggi to get him back home. That's what it's been a tough go. Some of the updates I did want to give was to the people that are listening is a lot of people think that Jaggi's been released on bail. Jaggi's got 10 cases against him. He's been granted bail in 2 of them, but the other 8 cases, he still needs to be granted bail before he can be released whilst the cases are going on. Jaggi hasn't been charged for the serious cases that have been put against him in respect of the murder allegations. And like Benji, you said, I've put the comments off because people talk in different ways. Whoever is listening, whoever's looking in the comments, 1,275 days on, Jaggi has not been formally charged on the allegations that Captain Amrinder Singh said that they had all evidence against. So if that's not proof in the pudding, then I don't know what is. If India had the evidence against Jaggi, they would have tried him and convicted him. Instead, all they have been doing is delaying matters. There was one case in which Jaggi, when it went to framing of charges, the judge threw the case away. So Jaggi walked away out of that case. Actually, when we say walked away, there was no case. And this is what the Indians are scared of just now. As if it comes to the arguments on charges, we have put our position forward for the last 1.5 years, and the judges are just refusing to listen to it because the Indian state will say that we're taking these cases to Delhi, and as a result, Jaggi sits in a prison for all that time. It is affecting the family. Jaggi's wife, every time a hearing takes place, Jaggi's wife, Badi Honki hoya, the hearing's 2 weeks later, hearing's 6 weeks later. So every hearing that comes, it's not just the family, the Sangat are asking each time, what happened with Jaggi's hearing, Sade Munde di hearing na ki hoya. So think about this, a newly wedded wife, less than 2 weeks, sees her husband abducted, hooded, and taken away. She meets her husband in Nabba jail. You know, you can just imagine you've just got married. A lot of sisters will be listening. You've just got married and you're having to meet your husband in a jail. He had been subjected to torture, and you can just imagine it's like a filmy scene, as they say, that when you think about these things, you don't actually think that this could happen to you. But unfortunately, it did. She's been strong. She came to the UK. She met with the Foreign Secretary, with myself. She's been fighting her own legal battle to stay in the UK, but again with Maharaj's Kirpa, Sangat's Ardasa, we won the appeal first time, but the Home Office appealed that decision, and we won that appeal again. So now it's likely that Jaggi's wife will be allowed to stay in the UK unless the Home Office try to appeal that, but it will be embarrassing. With that said, people have asked, what is the UK government doing? So I wanted to start off on this point was, if the UK government have been saying that they've been helping Jaggi, why did they want to get rid of his wife out of the UK? It's showing that the UK government are more worried about the Indian trade as opposed to a British citizen and its human rights. So it has been concerning. But what's been more concerning is there's been raids on Sikh activists in the UK. What they were looking for wasn't anything about any activities here, but specifically they were looking for evidence against Jaggi, which is quite concerning when you had Punjab police officers in those 5 Sikh activists' houses. Nothing's happened out of those cases for 3 of them, but then Sikh Youth UK, who have been a prominent voice for Jaggi, social media everywhere, Deepa Singh and his sister have been implicated in cases as a result of it, and Jaggi's name is also in these cases in the UK. Even though Jaggi had nothing to do with CQ of UK, Deepa Singh, as a duty, like Benji, you've said, is we have a duty to stand up for injustices and stand up for human rights violations. Deepa Singh has been standing up for violations for many people, our sisters, sacred issues that we have, the farmers' issues, and all he did, and he didn't have to, but all he did was, as a fellow brother, and what's in his duty, was he stood up for Jaggi. He still stands up for Jaggi, and his sister and him have been implicated in charity commission cases for no apparent reason. So he's going through his own dilemma as a result of being Jaggi's voice. But with that said, he's not shared away. Even now, you see the poster he puts up. He'll always share about Jaggi. He'll always talk about Jaggi, of how he's feeling. And when the campaign started, he was actually, I could phone him at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he would always be there, and he still is to that extent. So again, what I really want to say is this campaign is not Gurpreet Singh. That's, yes, I'm the speaker for the family. I'm the person that leads the campaign, but it's you guys that are making the campaign, and it's you guys that make sure that Jaggi's still alive. Because each time something happens, it's you guys that raise his voice, and it's you guys that will be the ones that will be celebrating with the family once he is back. Many people say to me, is Jaggi going to come back? Yes, he's a British national. He's born and bred here. If he doesn't come back tomorrow, not in 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, he will come back to UK. And I was talking to some other people, and I was saying, the longer India do this, from one Jaggi, there's now thousands of Jaggis. What was Jaggi's crime? Jaggi's crime was documenting what happened in 1984. People say that we're terrorists or whatever we are. At the end of the day, our QOM is known for its Shahidia. And with that said, I know we've still got a lot of people on. I also want to say lakh vadaiya on the Prakash Utsav of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, because he's our misal of why we stand up against human rights violations, and he's a living example of what we went through. So I think, in a nutshell, that's where we've been. Again, people have asked, I was on a call with students in America the other day, and they said, Paaji, we don't think we're doing enough, and we don't think our awareness is working. And when I spoke to them and I explained to them how it is working, they were actually taken aback, because they didn't realize that they had such an effect on Jaggi, and his Chardi Kala that he's in as a result of it. Because what people only see is that Jaggi's still in jail. Well, this is what I was talking about the other day. Jaggi went in as a Munna. The day he was abducted, he was a Munna. He went to his first court hearing and he wore a gold star. Tied a gold star, start keeping his case. That's saying something, that you can't kill a Sikhi. Jaggi's first voice within the public domain, within social media, is by Jasveer Singh Muksarwan asked him when he was working for Khalas TV, ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਆ, and he said, ਹਾਂਜੀ ਠੀਕ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਮਾੜਾ ਬਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ? And he said, ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਈ ਜਾਣਾ, ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਦੱਸਦਾ. He's sitting in a prison, a police van, saying this. If that's not Chardi Kala in itself, then I don't know what else is. Each time we see his picture, he smiled, and that was like, that smile just woke up the Sangat as well. So for us as a family, it's hard. Jaggi's wife, it's hard, but we are strong. But why are we strong? Is because we've got Maharaj's support, and we've also got the Sangat's Ardasa for him. So that's what we've been going through for the last 1275 days. I genuinely think we will be getting Jaggi back very soon, but without you guys, I can't do it, because I need you to be more vocal. All we're saying is, and as a family, Jaggi's brother, I will say he's innocent. I'm not even going to say, asking you to say he's innocent. All I'm saying is 1275 days on, still not been formally charged. He's been arbitrarily detained. He was subjected to third-degree torture for the first 4 days. He continuously is being mentally tortured because the cases are just being delayed after delay. So the answers, the answer to your question is there. If Jaggi had done what he's supposed to have done, would the Indians have not charged him, convicted him, and did whatever they have to do? But instead, all they have done is delay things.
Mhm. Um, so Captain Amrinder Singh went on TV to say that they had captured Jaggi Paaji. So basically, Captain Amrinder Singh, who's the CM of Punjab, was in on it, correct?
Yes, yeah. So 7th of November 2017, the TV comes on and Captain Amrinder Singh does a press conference. This is the day that Jaggi's confirmed that he was stopped being tortured, 7th of November 2017. Says that we have solved 7 murders and Jaggi Jol is the main culprit and we have all the evidence against him.
Mm-hmm.
So just saying it's 7th of November 2017 and still nothing's came out. Instead, what we did have was Punjab police have moved all these cases to the NIA. The Punjab police officers have been noted to say, "Sade Maria Sap Sade Gal Chulata," which in Punjabi what that means is that we had a dead snake around our neck because we can't find anything on Jaggi Jol. There is no evidence against him, and now the NIA have to find a case for him. So Captain Marinder Singh has said many things.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marinder Singh has also said that the family are funding terrorism, they're collecting money, and maybe it was Maharaj's Kale or how it was. But what we had was that I have openly been saying, do not collect any money
Mm-hmm.
because when we need the money, we'll ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that Captain Amrinder Singh or Indian state was saying was also always being countered, not because we were countering it, it's because we were just telling the truth. Because we
Mm-hmm.
have been open, transparent. Whenever there's information to be provided, we've provided it. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
the Indians have shifted their goals each time. So one minute Jaggi is a financer, next minute he's a mastermind, then he's a financer, then he's international conspiracy. Um, there's only 12 lines against Jaggi in the charge sheet itself, and there's nothing in there to prove that there was anything involvement with Jaggi. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the extent of what it is. And the funny thing is, you would have heard about Nakal Marde a, Punjabi exam ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰਦੇ ਆ.
Yeah.
So the Punjab charge sheet in Punjabi, the NIA have done exactly the same copy and paste translation of Punjabi to English. And even the full stops where all the mistakes are, the commas is exactly the same from the Punjab police case. But this is the
Mm-hmm.
extent of the Indian state and how they would go with it.
Um, are they still torturing him in Delhi?
So in January 2021, when a new case was put on Jaggi, the perpetrator who tortured Jaggi was in questioning him. And what he has said to Jaggi was, ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਵਾ ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਬਕ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ. So that itself is meant to torture because Jaggi knows if they've done it once, they can do it again. Physically, the torture stopped after the 7th of November 2017, but the mental torture has continued because Jaggi has told his wife, Jaggi has told the Vakil that it used to be times that he would think every time the door opened, that was his last day. And he still has that because each time NIA or the Indian state will just take Jaggi out of prison whenever they want. So they are worried that Jaggi is worried that it could happen again. And the mental torture has been going on and it's still going on. And until he is released, that will continue because the Indian state could take him out at any point to torture him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Benji, the answer to the physical torture is it's not going on, but the mental torture still is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being in a prison, like, in that closed quarters without doing anything like that in itself is torture. You're optimism is killed. It's destroyed slowly. It's a huge mental trauma in itself. Um, so okay, so let's go back to the purpose of having this live, and it's to the people watching. How can we help? You
So
guys need
as
to start. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so as raising awareness as you need to be Jaggi's voice. Jaggi was the voice for the voiceless. What we need to also realize is there's another 9 people as a result of Jaggi that are safe. When Jaggi's torture stopped, the other 9 people's torture stopped. And they've said repeatedly to Advocate Manjpur, if J Jaggi na hunda ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੁੱਟਮਾਰ ਤਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਸੀ. We would have still got it because we're Indian nationals. So
Mm,
what it has done is we need people around the world to raise awareness or even write to the elected members of parliament, Canada, America, because all we're saying is a British national has been detained for 1275 days. He has been arbitrarily detained and he potentially faces the death penalty. What is our government going to do to ensure that a British national is protected?
mm,
Or for anyone that's not a British national, it's simple that we are worried that this could happen to us. What is our government going to do to ensure that this doesn't happen to us? And they're logical questions which your member of parliament, elected member of parliament, can raise with the Indian High Commission within the country itself, and also raise with the UK because there's members of the constituency that are concerned. But Benji, with that is you would have heard about the 3 extraditions that the UK government are wanting to take.
mm-hmm,
My request is, yes, Jaggi is sitting in a jail, but my request to everybody listening, and even yourself, is we cannot have another 3 Jaggis going to India.
mm-hmm,
Jaggi is there. He's going through it. That's in his planner. But what we have in our control is to do everything possible to ensure that the 3 Singhs that are being forced or been looking to be extradited are not extradited. There is a UK government collusion part of it. And the reason I say that, I'm a solicitor and I think about what I say, but the reason I say that, Dominic Raab visited India.
yes,
As soon as he comes back, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, signs off extradition papers. What does
yes,
that say?
yes,
Dominic Raab says, I've just signed up £1 billion deals, and then all of a sudden you have these extraditions going on.
yes,
These 3 Singhs had their families worried, scared, and I've spoke to the Singhs as well, and they said at the time this happened, we were thinking Jaggi could have BP Hunia at that time. At least we're in the UK. We know we're still here. What would
mm-hmm,
it have been like for him? So when you
mm-hmm,
asked what can we do, we be Jaggi's voice, and
mm-hmm,
also we make sure that those 3 Singhs are not extradited, because this is going to be a very big slap on our face if they are extradited. And the reason that's going to be a big slap is because India will set a precedent, not just in the UK, but
but across
Canada
the
and
world.
America. Yes. So we have to stop that, and it's our responsibility to do that.
Mm-hmm,
And so, any means that you have, I'm not saying I'm an expert at campaigning because I make mistakes, but there's younger people than us, there's older people than us. If there's
mm-hmm,
things that we should be doing, please feel free to let us know on the Free Jaggi Now campaign. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the Sikh Youth UK that are also doing a lot of campaigning. There's a lot of activists that are doing a lot of campaigning to get Jaggi back and highlight the issues.
mm-hmm,
But another thing we need to remember is we cannot forget our Sikh history.
mm-hmm,
Jaggi's Seva was never forget 84, and
mm-hmm,
that's because our brothers and sisters died for us. Our
mm-hmm,
brothers and sisters were killed,
mm-hmm,
martyred for us, so we can have a better today, that we can sit in the comforts of where we are.
mm-hmm,
So my request to everyone listening is please do not forget our history. And
yes,
today, out of all days to say it, but today is Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Prakash Utsav. And
yes,
if we forget our history, then we're going to lose a lot of things, and we can't do that. That's to our brothers and sisters. We see it in June 84, they never forget 84 pictures are there. So
mm-hmm,
people that don't know, Jaggi was behind it. And
mm-hmm,
Jaggi, a kind of personal story is Pairasal Singh came to Glasgow and he was doing Tadjiwara, and Jaggi gave a picture to Pairasal Singh of his dad, a unique picture that he never had, and that was because Jaggi had sourced that picture. To date, Pairasal Singh has went done his Tadjiwara around the UK, and he always talks about Jaggi. Just that one
Mm,
picture that Pairasal Singh didn't have of his dad, a Taddi in the 1980s that did not stop because the Indian state said to him, you cannot do prachar about what was happening in the 1980s. So these are little things. And also there's mothers that didn't have pictures of their children. They were
mm,
killed in 1980s,
mm,
1984 onwards. And Jaggi found those pictures. Those mothers got to see their children's pictures because they never had them. And
mm.
yes, as in Pana, that Maharaj is doing what he is doing, but with the bad, there is good. And what I would say is, um, Jackie sent a message through Advocate Manchpur and said, there's a lot of youth here, there's a lot of people sitting in Indian jails that do not have legal representation.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
I
as
I'm
a
sorry,
sorry, on you go, Benji.
Anji. So Shri Paaji, when he was in jail, I had him on live a few days ago. He was also arrested, and he said the same thing that there's a lot of young kids which we would deem underage that are sitting there because they have no means to get out with no money. And the issue with that is that we are we are just their lives are being destroyed because when they are let out just randomly, they will come out with such scathing hate for the world that turn their back on them. We have to understand that yes, Jaggi, because we know about him, Shri, because he was a singer, but there's so many people. There are so many people in Punjab's jails that don't need to be there, and that was something I wanted to bring up here that we need to start shedding awareness and light on.
So Benji, what we did, Jaggi told us this. Jaggi said, I'm lucky enough that my family can pay for my legal fees
Mm-hmm.
and this Sangat doing Ardasa. So he sent this message and we started up a charity called Seek a Legal Assistance Board, which
Mm-hmm.
is to give legal representations to those that cannot afford representation. So we've got a team of lawyers as a result of it. So what I'm saying is when I say there's something good out of bad, so far we've managed to get 16 to 18 people out of jails and it's not cost our family any money because the
Wow.
Sangat, we've managed to pay for the legal fees. We also got a Supreme Court decision in Bikramjit Singh's case, who was in the Nangari bomb case. And out of that decision from the Supreme Court, people around India have been using that precedent in order to get bail. And people are saying to Advocate Manchpur, ਭਾਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗਾ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੇਸ Supreme Court ਤੱਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਏ. As a
Mm-hmm.
result of that, so 16 to 18 people that we know because we are currently representing them, but we don't know how many more hundreds have got released as a result of that decision.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest downfall for those is, I know I'm sidetracking, but this is related to Jaggi because Jaggi told us about this
Mm-hmm.
and we took a responsibility. And I look at it and people say, you're saying Fakar that 16 to 18 people have been released, but your brother's still in jail. My answer to that always is, those 16 to 18 people are doing ardas for Jaggi to be released. That's all we can ask for. We can't ask for more than that. There was a 17-year-old boy who was a juvenile. He was put into an adult prison. Now, like what you said, people come back with hatred. People come back hating the system. A 17-year-old boy put into a jail with adults. His news hit the papers because we assisted him to get out. The Indian
Mm-hmm.
state talked about it. The Indian papers talked about it. So there's a duty, whether it's through Jaggi. I always say this is Jaggi the किस्मत ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੇ torture ਸਹਿਣਾ ਸੀ. His dana pani is sitting in a jail. Our family have the seva of speaking out for the voice, be the voice for the voiceless is what I will always say, and we have a moral duty to do so. So the reason I mentioned Seek Legal Assistance Board is because we've only been able to re-establish ourselves through various means. Now
Mm-hmm.
the Sangat is supporting it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way we can get people out. And one other thing to bear with that is you are the bread earner. You have been put in jail. Your family is already thinking, how do we feed ourselves? How do we feed our children? How do they get an education? The last thing they want to worry about is the legal fees. And just because of legal fees, they sit in jail because they don't have legal representation.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen cases where people have completed their sentences, but they're spending another year in jail because they can't afford to pay the £10,000 rupee fine that was given. One full year in a jail because they can't pay the 10,000 rupee fine. That's embarrassing for us. We can't let our youth die in this way. And I think through Maharaj's Seva that we've got, we're able to assist however we can. We're not saying we'll get everybody out, but we'll try and do whatever we can because it's our moral duty to do so.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about Indian politicians quite briefly, and this is to the people watching. The Achilles heel, like the weakest point of all Indian politicians, is their reputation, how they're perceived by the outside world. So if we know Captain Amrinder Singh is behind this, raise hell, guys. Go on Twitter, tweet at him, ask him what is going on and why he did this. You might think that politicians don't read and don't watch, but once one person tweets and another person tweets, and it's an exponential kind of growth, right? And everybody starts doing it, it takes effect. Politicians in a democracy, or a so-called democracy like India, politicians are answerable to their constituencies. So please do that. Furthermore, writing letters. When we started the farmers' protest and we started getting congressmen to speak, a lot of people said politicians don't listen. They do, because your votes matter. The thing is that we have to start organizing at a local level. We have to say, if you don't do something on this, these many people are not going to vote for you. And yes, at a federal level, 20,000, 30,000 people might not make a difference because we're talking in millions. But at a local level, 20,000, 30,000 people do make a difference. And I saw somebody in there saying that, signatures don't mean anything. Signatures mean a lot. If you can get that many signatures and take it to a politician and say, these people have promised to not vote for you if you don't go on to a federal level and, work on this issue. We will never stop being a minority unless each couple starts having 5 to 10 kids. And that too, it's going to be like 30, 40 years down the line, right? Right now, 6 have 2 kids maximum and they replace themselves. At this rate, we will always be a minority. We don't have the privilege of staying silent. We do not. So it is up to each person individually how we're going to protect our community. How are we going to protect one another? And it doesn't happen, ਆਪਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ like ਚਲੋ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਰ ਲੈਣ ਦੋ, or it's we have this them versus me mentality. ਉਹ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ. ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ? Especially now that I think about it, I'm talking about the farmers' protest. My brother is talking about the farmers' protest. How many of us are talking about it? This, in India, at the rate India is going right now, it's going in a fascist direction. For them, they consider it anti-national. When koi bhi India jauga, they very easily can throw your brother in jail, your father in jail, your husband in jail. Then what? Then you're going to need people to speak for you. But why would people speak for you if you didn't speak for somebody else? It's very important to understand we, as a minority community, do not have the privilege of staying silent when there are atrocities being committed against us.
But just to add to that, Benji, is when you say reputation matters, see, what we have found in the UK is there's been a lot of youth that have found the members of parliament accountable. When they get fob-off letters or they get fob-off replies, they've taken it to social media.
Yeah.
And they've taken it and said that this is not on. You're my elected member of parliament and you need to be doing more. So they have actually came back, and as a result, the MPs have started doing more than they have. So the youth are doing quite a lot that is actually finding a lot of the MPs accountable. And I think the same they could do around the world. And it's not just the votes. If you look at this COVID issue that's arrived around the world, who are the first people to step up? It's always Sikhs.
Yes.
It's always Sikhs. It doesn't matter where it is. Right now, India is dying because of lack of oxygen. Who's standing up? The same person that they were calling a terrorist, Ravi, who just had a dialysis himself, and he's
Yes.
back up on his feet again, trying to do whatever he can. That's Seva. And I'm not just saying Ravi from Khalsa Aid. There's many people doing it. There's a Hemkund Foundation. There's other charities that are doing utmost. And I think it was a newspaper article I seen. There was somebody in India that sold his wife's jewellery, bought a rickshaw, and he's made an oxygen thing out of there. This is people protecting people itself. And so this is what people don't realise is when the governments want to call us good, is when we're doing all these free things for them. We become the Langar House, we become the ones that do the NHS payments, we do everything. Then we're all good. But when we ask for our rights, then we're like, no, you're the bad guys. So I think what we need is the elders we need for their experience, and we need the youth of utilizing their experience and putting it into emotion. Because what we've got now, we've got a lot of educated youth, too much educated youth, not just in the UK and the international countries, we've even got them in India. In the Asian countries, we've got a lot that we can utilize in order to further ourselves, because we're not doing that. I got involved, and I'm standing as a candidate in the Scottish Parliament elections this year, and I would never have got involved if the Jaggi wasn't a part of this. And the only reason I want to now try and get involved is to try and make some change. We've got a lot of young people. We've got a lot of sisters that are actually doing political work. There's a sister that seen the tweets and introduced me to the UN rapporteur, a special rapporteur. And just because she was worried. And she said, Paaji, I've got this person's details. She first wrote to the UN rapporteur. Then she introduced me. And now we're trying to see what we can do. That's not someone that knew Jaggi. That's just someone sitting on the other side of the world that had a concern. But she had a contact and she gave it. So I think we need to help each other. We don't pull each other down. There are different ways of doing it. There's different parties you join, but you don't pull each other down. You help each other and we make each other stronger. I think that's what the biggest call is that we need right now.
100%. I'm gonna just look to see if we have any questions that have come in. Simsation XO is saying, has anybody contacted Sirsa for legal aid for Jaggi? It seems as though he has a lot of pull, as is seen with his recent success in freeing illegally detained farmer prisoners. So I have no way of contacting him, but those of you that want to tweet at him, please do so and start immediately.
Yeah, so Benji, what's happened with that is people I've tried to reach out, but there's people themselves reaching out to Sirsa on their own behalf, because people don't look at Jaggi as my brother. They look at their own brother, their own son. And honestly, we lost a mum 14 years ago. I've been going to Gurdwara in England, because Scotland's about 280 miles away from England. So I've been going there. I've got Mata coming up. What ਸਾਡੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਜੱਗੀ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ? ਸਾਡਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਨਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਰਾ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਬਣਿਆ? ਸਾਡਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ ਹੰਝੂ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਉਹ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਬੀਤਦੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ. That's mothers saying this. Like, we don't have our own mother, but the amount of love we've got from we don't have our own sister, but the amount of sisters that have given us pyar, the amount of mothers that have given us pyar. Elderly women saying, ਪੁੱਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਖੰਡ ਪਾਠ ਕੀਤਾ ਜੱਗੀ ਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਨ ਆਏ ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਰੋਜ਼ ਕਰਨ ਡਏ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਚੌਪੇ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਜਾਪ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਵੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ. These are people that don't know Jaggi. These are mothers. ਔਰ ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਤਾਂ ਰੱਬ ਵਸਦਾ, ਮਾਮਾ ਦੇ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਤਾਂ ਰੱਬ ਵਸਦਾ, as they say. So, but these are people that we've not known, and I've had people that came right behind me. They were going to Matta Take, and they've seen me and they've made their own way to me and just say ਪੁੱਤ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਹੋਣ ਡਿਆ ਵਾ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਚਿਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਦੀ ਫੋਟੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਸੀ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਸਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਆ ਟੈਲੀ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਏ ਅਪਡੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀ this is the kind of effect that it's having on ਆਮ ਬੰਦਾ it's not just that's why the reason I said it was that people don't treat Jaggi as that's Gurpreet Singh's brother they say
Yeah.
ਸਾਡਾ ਭਰਾ ਵਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਵਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਵਾ so
Yeah.
this is a side of, like I said at the start, is this campaign, I'm just a loudspeaker for Jaggi. I'm a loudspeaker for the Sangat because it's a Sangat that gives me the energy. I wake up some days and thinking I have failed my brother because he's still sitting in a jail, but it's a Sangat like koi nahi put ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਵਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਆਇਆ ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੈਠੋਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਉਂਗੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੱਸੂਗਾ this is the kind of ਪਿਆਰ that we've been getting as a family. And I've said to Jaggi's wife a lot of times, she has been in some of the protests since being in the UK, and I said to her, see when you're in Sangat, you understand how much pyar there is for Jaggi and how many people are dying to see Jaggi back home. People that don't even know him are talking about him. And I think, but with that said, Benji, we also need the wider community to start talking about these injustices. We have relied too much on our Sangat. It's a and now some people have said you did it the wrong way. I will say no, because without Sangat's support, Maharaj's Kirpa, I don't think I would have got through to this day. Because it's a Sangat, it's their Ardas, it's every single day they're doing Ardas to bring Jaggi back. So the youth that are listening that are not doing part, start off with the Waheguru job, do the Mool Mantra job. You don't know how much Shakti that we're going to get out of this and how we're going to get the para of the Shaheed Singhs. Because Jaggi ਦੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਸਿੰਘਣੀਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਵਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟਰੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਤੇ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ because if we can talk about our Char Sahibzade, we can talk about the Singhs and Singhniya that gave up their lives, that only went to Darbar Sahib to Matha take. They never knew that was going to be the last day. So we can only talk about these things because that's we have a right to do so. So my request, as I said to everyone, is going to be, do not forget our history because it's our history that keeps us. It's our history that makes this family strong and it's making us stronger each day. And it's the history, it's that Bharosa and Maharaj that's going to make sure that Jaggi brings us back. Because without that Bharosa, we have nothing.
I'm going to open up another question. Okay, so Amr G408 is asking, have you been in contact as of recent with our brother Jaggi? Please let him know we are with him.
So the last conversation I had with Jaggi was August 2020, which was after the protest that we had outside Downing Street. But next time I do, Jaggi is aware of the Free Jaggi Now campaign. And the reason he's aware, right at the early days, Punjab police was saying to him, "Apne bra nu keh chup ho ja, ਉਹਨੂੰ keh campaign ਬੰਦ ਕਰ ਦੇ." And Jaggi's told his wife these things. He goes, "मैं ना अपने भरा ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਬੋਲਣ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਮਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ so it's that kind of extent so Jaggi's aware of the Free Jaggi Now campaign and we've always said it and another way that Jaggi knows about the campaign is that people have sent him letters, people have sent him food. We joke about Iron Brew, which is a Scottish drink, and people actually sent him Iron Brew from Scotland, from UK. And there's people that have sent chocolates, they've sent Indian sweets to him. When he was in Nabba jail, he got the food, but he didn't get the letters because they were taken by the Indian authorities. So Jaggi is aware of this, and he was getting the stuff that's being sent to him. And so with your kirpa, your ardasa, we will be getting him back soon.
Yes, we will. We will. Kbrar 780. What is the UK government doing and saying right now?
UK government just now are more worried about their trade deals since we've left Europe. So they're looking to seal that. The UK government have a policy that if somebody has been arbitrarily detained, that they have the policy to call for that individual's release. And I don't say that lightheartedly. Reprieve are a known NGO around the world, not just in the UK, but in the US. They've also taken the US government to account. They also deal with cases in Syria, Guantanamo Bay, and they have said, they've done their own research, that Jaggi's case is that egregious that this is the first time they've asked the UK government to call for Jaggi's immediate release and return to the UK. So we are pushing the UK government to do more. Unfortunately, we're not seeing them do that because of this trade deal.
Yeah, and I don't think that. Go ahead.
So with that said, Jaggi, the High Commission, although it wasn't a private visit, due to the pressure that we've put on the UK government, they were going to see him every 2 weeks. Currently, because of COVID, they've not been able to go and see him, but they're having a phone call with him. So the communication that I have is through the UK government. So Jaggi passes messages through the UK government and vice versa. So this is due to the public pressure. And Jaggi is one of these cases that are always going to come back to bite India in the backside, as I say, because any politician always raises Jaggi's case.
Absolutely. And that's why everybody in America and Canada need to do the same as well. Okay. Is there anything further? Okay, Yetan, Yetanoz Raj. Is there anything further we can do other than our MP? Mine gets her PA to send generic replies, and even my Sikh counselors refuse to comment. So that's what I'm saying. That's where social media matters. Start tweeting. You need us and do hashtag free Jaggi now. That's the hashtag. If we can keep that trending for long periods of time across the world. And if your MPs are not responding to this, call them out on Twitter and social media. Call them out. And if you need me to do it, tag me at Monica Gill, at Monica_Gill1. I will retweet and hopefully we can, get this picked up. The point is we all need to be a collective voice.
There's another way to see when you get a normal answer or a automated reply from them. There's another way to tackle it. One, you could be a concerned family member. Two, you could be someone that's about to go to India, or you have issues because you have been a Sikh activist or a human rights activist, and if this is what's happening to activists, this concerns you, and you want to know what the UK government, or sorry, your respective government are going to do to protect this doesn't happen again. And at the same time, what that does, right now, a lot of elected members of parliament will say we can't do anything because he's not our constituent. But when you turn it around and make it about you, you can then get a positive reply from them. And this hasn't been easy. We've learned this over the last 3 years of how to do it. And this is how people are actually able to get a more constructive answer from them. So this is another way of doing it.
I think that's a great idea. So basically, turn around. Say, A, you're a family member, and two, you're trying to go to India and you're worried about this. That's a great idea, Paaji. Great.
It's taken 3.5 years to learn these things, but this is the way how to counter it, because you need to make it about you. You're the constituent. When you make it that you're my elected member of parliament and you're not caring about me, then that's when it starts to hit, because one, they can give you an automated reply. Second time they can give you it. Third time the banda aap hi gusse ho janda wa, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਵਾ ਕੁਛ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਣੀ. So it comes to that point and people start to realize.
Okay, so Rajgor_S is asking, do you think the lack of help from the UK government is because of Jaggi's race?
I think it's twofold. I wouldn't say just race. I think what the UK government have done for other white individuals, they could be doing more for Jaggi. But right now, the unfortunate situation we're in is UK left EU. As a result, they're bending over backwards to please India. So
Mm-hmm.
it's mostly of that. But another example I'll give to you is the UK government continuously say that we're continuously lobbying for Jaggi of the investigation of torture and the ongoing of the trial. However, this is the answer that they've given us in the public domain. We have received an unsatisfactory response, to which means that the pressure we're putting on the UK government, you're putting on the UK government is working because they
Mm-hmm.
keep raising Jaggi's case.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Indians that are not giving a satisfactory response. And let's go to an example. India is dying right now. Delhi is dying right now. There's no oxygen. What do the diehard Indians say? Instead of saying we need to protect our brothers and sisters, that this is a conspiracy from the outside and
Yeah.
Modi doesn't know what he's doing. So let's look at it into that context. So we are, and we will get him back.
Mm.
This is positivity, and this positivity comes from you guys as opposed to me. Yes, we as a family we get heartbroken, but because of you guys in the Radasa, we're back in Chardikala, and we know Jaggi's in Chardikala as well, and due to the Radasa, किसी की अरदास पूरी हो जानी है. We don't know who is it going to be. Is it going to be a 2-year-old? Is it going to be a 3-year-old? Or is it going to be a 90-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
In the next couple of days, I'll be tweeting a picture of a young child. The parents had sent us he's got his baby glow on, and it says hashtag free Jaggi now on it, and that was 3 years ago. And hopefully we'll be able to put that picture back out because it was in the public domain, and maybe get contact with that parent because 3 years on we don't know what that child looks like now. And so these are kind of things that we'll use in respect of raising more awareness.
That's really cute, really cute. Okay, we still have a few more minutes, so let me get another question in the meantime. Let's see. Nafreet underscore Gill is asking, did Jaspal Singh Manjpur met Jaggi since he got the permission? Hold on. Since he got the permission to meet him after he came from Delhi special cell? I don't even know if you maybe you know this name.
Yes, so Paaji has met Jaggi since he was detained, and he's given information. But then the lockdown have started, so he was supposed to be meeting him in the last couple of weeks. But because the lockdown has started again in Delhi and legal visits have been stopped, so he's not been able to. He has had a video link meeting with him, but that's not the same because there's other agencies, etc., listening. So Advocate Banjima Padi has met Jaggi
Okay.
in person since that's happened.
So that's his lawyer, one of his lawyers?
Yes.
Okay.
So Benji, when you say that's one of his lawyers, he's been like a family member.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is you can phone him at any time and he
Wow.
answers. He doesn't. There's a lot of Sangat phoning because he's one of these Panthik lawyers, and he doesn't get angry about it. He's been really helpful when Jaggi's wife wants to speak, and he'll be like, "Sadi choti behen ya koi nahi," because Advocate Manjpur Padi has been through this.
Uh-huh.
And a funny thing I see was Padi used to tell us right at the start was a lawyer. You've been in Canada for quite a while now, and what lawyer washes a prisoner their client's clothes and gives it to him?
Oh my
Paaji was
God.
washing Jaggi's clothes to give it to him because at the time there was no family members at the time and he was able to meet him. And even to this extent, he goes, Paaji, ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਵੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਨਾ ਪਏ ਜੱਗੀ ਚਾਚੇ ਨੇ ਕਦੋਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਉਣਾ ਵਾ. See, he's got 2 young children, and that's the
Yeah.
kind of extent it is. So this is the effect it has. That's why I don't just call him a lawyer. I would say he's like family, because
Mm-hmm.
whenever I need to speak to him, he gives us the information, and he's doing everything within his power. And the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing he could do when Jaggi told Paji that he had been tortured, Paji stood up and told the world that he'd been tortured. Many lawyers might have said no, just let it go, don't say anything. But Paji stood up and challenged the courts to say that he had been tortured. And that's quite, for him to be in India and to do this is quite a lot for that person.
That's so why would a lawyer like not want to say that? Like would it harm the legal case?
No, some lawyers would say we don't want to say this because they're scared of the impact that they would have on them by
Okay.
saying that the police have actually tortured someone.
Okay, like it would put their own life in danger, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful. So, Paji, we're about to hit an hour, and I usually like to wrap it up because so more people can share it. So how would you like to close this off?
First of all, just thank you for everybody joining. Thank you for giving us this platform. Please continue to be Jaggi's voice because without you guys, we can't bring him back. We need him back. At the same time, you're also giving Jaggi's wife that support. I know she's not in the public domain yet. Uh, when the time is right, she will be in the public domain. But the support you guys are giving gives her haussla as well, and it gets her through the days. It keeps us going, and Maharaj will do a pali, and he'll bring Jaggi back. We think that something bad is happening. We don't know what good is going to come out of this, and together we are stronger. So let's support each other. When people ask us questions that we don't like to hear, the simple answer is going to be that India have still not formally charged Jaggi 1,275 days on, and each day counts. So that gives you the answer itself. If they had the evidence, they would have tried him and convicted him by now.
Mm-hmm. Um, Paji, if you talk to Jaggi's wife, do let her know that I feel for her. I think at this time, like not just from me, but from every girl or woman that's watching this, like the situation she's in or what has happened to her as a newly wedded bride, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And if she is watching this, like I hope she knows that our love, our emotions, our sympathy, like it's all there. And if I could, I would give her a hug. You know, that's
Yeah.
at this point, just haussla rakho, you know.
Yeah, now, yeah, she's aware that the support, and I was joking with her. I said, I'm going to be on Instagram with Monica Gill, and she goes, "Paji, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਡੇ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੋਣ ਪੈਂਦੀਆਂ ਵਾ." So she was joking about it as well. So like ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਦਿਨ ਲੰਘਦੇ ਆ. So that's how we can get through each
Yeah.
thing. And no doubt she'll be watching this, and if she's not watching it, she will go back to look at it. And again, we're grateful for the support that you've provided, giving us this platform, reaching people that you've reached out to, and that's all we can ask for. And many others are doing the same. And before you know it, you'll probably have Jaggi on one of these calls with it, and you can have a direct link, and then you'll be reaching even more people.
I hope so. I really hope so. I have a little brother too, and I always say that 84 is one of the greatest tragedies to strike our community in the recent years, right? We hear about Badda Kallukara and Chota Kallukara, but like um 84, like the Sikh genocide was a Kallukara as well. And like I'm big on talking about 1984 and what happened around it and the people that died. I believe that we have to keep that alive because that was an atrocity that happened with our community. So there, I agree with Jaggi Paaji that what he was doing was absolutely correct. And the the Indian government has tried repeatedly to change the narrative around it, to change the narrative around how things happened. They've even gone as far as to change the number of people killed. You have relatives of like KPS Gill trying to change the narrative around him, and it's atrocious. And I will forever be speaking out about against, and I think everybody should. But more importantly, speak out for our brother because he
Benji,
needs us now.
we need people like yourself to speak out. The reason being, as I said, I'm a solicitor and I'm an immigration solicitor, and I've came across a lot of students that came from India, and to them, Santaji was a terrorist. It's not because that's what the Indian state had taught them, and
Yes.
once they came here, they've actually realized it wasn't. And the example of that is the BBC, one of our own sisters, did a program on 84, and they painted Sanji as a terrorist. My nana is illiterate. He doesn't know English. He can't write ABC. And he goes, because the art they see. And I said, this is what they're saying. So they fed us that picture. And Nana said, Je Santaji na hunde, ta aj aapa bhi nahi hona si. this is an elderly man, he's in his 90s now, and he was like, ਉਹਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੌਮ ਬਚਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ. And people, but what the fear that's been put in our youth, our mothers and fathers in India, is that we will do the same of what we did in 1984. That's why we need to be the voice of the voiceless, and that's why I repeatedly say that, because we can't let their deaths, their killings, their genocide go in vain. And that's, again, I'll go back to Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Prakash Utsav again today, because there's more people joining in. Lakh vadaiyan sareyan nu, but we can't forget Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's shahadat. We can't forget what he's done for us. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji sare parwar var ditta apne vaste. And this is the least we can do, is talk about our history. Our children should know about our history.
100%. Okay, Paaji, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm going to figure something out and, try to do what I can from my part. And God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.